So today's drawing is going to be of a roaring tiger. This one's going to be a bit trickier than the landscape. So feel free to pause the video as much as you need to keep pace and adjust your drawing. So first thing I'm going to do is start with an overall shape for the tiger head, keeping my lines nice and soft and sketchy. I'm going to start with a bit of a circle shape, but I'm really going to turn it into what I can best describe as a dumpling. So I start kind of circular, but then I'm going to pull the bottom down out a little bit wider, right? So I end up with more of this sort of, it looks like the steam bun or dumpling, if you know what that is. And so it's a little bit wider on the bottom. You got fat trapezoid. Once I have that, I'm going to place a couple of construction lines. Remember, construction lines are just to help me place things and get things symmetrical and balanced. They're going to be removed later on. I'm going to place a horizontal construction line through the middle and a vertical construction line through the middle. Once I have those, I'm going to repeat this dumpling shape right in the middle. So get that sort of circle and then kind of pull it out a little bit wider on the bottom. All right. And that'll work. I'm going to keep it soft because parts of it are going to be erased. Then what I'm going to do is right in the middle here. Let's draw that side first. Okay. Then from the sides of the dumpling, I'm going to bring an angle down and under and sort of a U shape all the way down and around. Okay. Now, right now it's not really resembling a tiger, but things will start to come together pretty soon. So I'm coming from the side at a slight diagonal in, right? So it's getting a little bit narrower and it's going to get that U shape underneath. Right here in the center of the circle, I'm going to draw a heart shape with a little bit of a more opening in the middle so that the two pieces of the heart don't quite go exactly together, but it does resemble a heart in that way. Okay. Where are we going to go? From this, I'm going to draw a diagonal out, very soft line. From that, that's going to be the nose. Right? I just want to pull a diagonal out on either side as a guideline. Right outside that dumpling shape, I'm going to place a circle on either side on that line. Try to make sure that they're kind of lined up with each other. Okay? Those are going to be for my two eyes. And then at the end of that diagonal, that's where I'm going to put my triangle shapes for my ears. Notice that the top of the ear is kind of level with the top of the head so that it doesn't stick out too much. No, it's not like on top or out to the side too much. It's just kind of coming out so it's sort of level with that flat top there. Check your sides, make sure your ears are even with each other. Want to make them nice and wide at where they connect to the head, not too narrow. You know, you don't want to make them too thin. Right now, it's starting to resemble a cat, right? And you might guess it's got its mouth open or something down here, and it does. So let's start adding some more details, and let's get the teeth in, and then we'll start adding some details. Right where this shape comes below the mouth, I'm just going to turn that into a bit of a curve, a downward curve. I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to change that into two curves. So those are kind of running parallel to each other. Inside of this space, I'm going to draw two drawing incisors on either side. And then in between them, I'm going to draw 5 teeth. 5 sharp little teeth. I'll add some more detail to that later. Below there's going to be a tongue coming down. What I'm going to do is draw another bottom tooth on either side. Is this triangular shape right outside that incisor. Notice it's a little bit above this bottom lip. Okay. So the teeth are going to be a little bit above and a couple of sharp teeth in between those two. So I've got two large teeth here, two large teeth on the bottom, and then some small teeth in between them. And I'm going to leave this space blank around there. Okay. Now for the rest of the face here, what I'm going to do is from right where that diagonal line was, I'm going to bring a curve out from the nose. And this is going to be from when the tiger is snarling. His like a muzzle is kind of bunching up. Think of like when you kind of wrinkle your nose, the skin kind of folds. So I'm going to draw some curves following the dumpling shape from before, right? I'm not going to connect it on the top. I'm going to leave that open. So I'm actually going to erase that part. So I'm bringing like 3 or 4 up on either side, starting at the nose. A nice big snarl there. In the middle, I'll draw like a little crease where the two meet. But I'm still going to leave a little bit of area so that I don't have to erase it right now, but that's what it's going to look like. Right? I'm going to leave a little bit open. And for the eye, I'm going to add a pupil right in the middle. And then following that diagonal that I had from before, I'm going to draw a shape around the tiger eye, kind of turning it into a diamond sort of a shape. I can blacken in. I can do this now or later, but I'm going to darken in that shape around the tiger's eye. You can see that gives it a lot more intensity right off the bat. So it's following the diagonal, coming off of that point, right, coming around, and turning it into a whole diamond, a pupil in the middle, and I'm going to add some value in there, just a little bit of shading. Adds a lot of intensity. And you can pull that line out if you want to change the shape a little bit. You know, there's lots of different things you can do to add to that. Coming back up to the top, I'm going to start to add a little bit of texture over the outside of the head here, because it's going to be furry, so I'm going to actually pull some zigzags, right, using different length, some short, some variety in there, and that's going to come underneath and hit the chin, doing that on both sides. So I start at the top, and right around where it hits the eye, that's where I'm going to start my zigzags. Let's see, let's add a couple of little hairs on the ear. All right, so that's, and then the tiger chin underneath, I want to do the same thing. I'm going to pull from either side down towards the center and add a little bit of texture on the bottom. For the nose, I'm going to pull in a couple of shapes for the nostril. You can blacken that out. So just a couple of little cut-ins on either side, and then a little cleft in the bottom of the nose. And then I'm going to add a little piece coming down to the lips here. Okay. Pulling that around. Then with the mouth, I'm actually going to darken in the space around the teeth. There's going to be a tongue in here, so I can add a little cleft in the middle for the tongue, and I'm actually going to add some lines across the top of the teeth for the gums. There's just some bumps going across to show the shape of the teeth. The gums of the tiger, that's some detail. Right? You can darken in your lines. And then add some value around this space using hatching or cross hatching or just some shading. If you want to do this in color later on, you can do it with a colored pencil, marker, or crayon, whatever you have available. Just want everything to kind of flow together. A couple of dots on the chin. adding some little bit of texture. Now we're ready to start adding some stripes. So with the tiger's ear, I'm going to add, his ears are going to be turned back. I'm going to add just this little black tip on either side. And if you want to just change the line a little bit to make it a little bit fuzzier looking ear, I'll add a little bit. They tend to be a little bit sleeker, but you want to give it some texture. And when I'm adding value, I'm going to be very rough. This is a sketch, right? So it's okay if my lines are a little bit rough and kind of not exactly perfect. Now for the stripes, if it's helpful, you can draw a quick line to give you the path, but really I'm just going to do some tight zigzags to create my stripes. I'm going to do a couple of stripes on the muzzle on either side. Don't want to make them look exactly the same, give it a little bit of variety. What you do want to do is have some sense of symmetry. So whatever you do on one side, you're going to do on the other. Whatever's on the left, you'd also do on the right. It does not have to be exact, but roughly in the same location. The center, the brow, the stripes on the forehead tend to kind of create some interesting shapes. What you might find helpful at this point is to actually look at a picture of a tiger, get a sense of where the stripes actually fall, or just follow along with me as I continue to add mine. So I have that center one. I'm going to add a stripe on here. Let's see, I'll add another stripe under the eye. And pull this one out. It's a stripe coming near the eye. I find it's helpful to, when you do one on the left, go over to the right and try to keep them balanced. Okay. That way you don't forget. Like a U shape in there. And then let's add some like those distinctive curves, right? Following the shape of the head. Really tight zigzags. And some really, got a nice big one out here. Tigers have distinctive stripes, like no two tigers are exactly the same, they're kind of like little fingerprints. Sometimes they're kind of connecting to each other too. You can kind of bridge a couple of stripes, pull them together. Pull some more detail in from the sides. But pretty quickly, those little dumpling shapes became this roaring tiger. So some of the last details might be adding some whiskers coming off of the muzzle here, some nice long whiskers. You'll see some coming out of the bottom too, and then they have whiskers off their eyebrow too. Cats have a lot of whiskers, so they kind of detect their space and move around. I'll straight in. And then I can just go around and clean up any lines I don't need anymore, refine things. If you want to take a marker to it and Sharpie this, you can. Turn it into a real graphic looking idea. Just remember, when you're drawing and cleaning up, some of these lines, some of these shapes are just used to help you get things set up. They're not necessarily a part of the final drawing. Now, I'll clean up some of the big ones that are kind of in the way, but I don't worry about every little detail with a sketch like this. Okay? Just some little things I think. Maybe I want to darken that eye. Tends to happen as I'm drawing and my fingers rub across the paper. I got these smudges, and it softens the tone of some of the value I've added. So you have to kind of come back and reestablish that and make it pop again. So that is how to draw a roaring tiger. Feel free to add your own personal touches and flair and make it your own. I'm looking forward to seeing your results. Good luck.